It was exciting, and we all survived, and that's the end of my tuk-tuk experience. The John Williams experience, however, I think will persevere through the rest of my life. I was sat in the cinema watching his orchestra play that piece of music and to hear his introduction, and I think it's hard when actors get asked quite often, what are the highlights of your career? And it's all such a soup of so many different things, and then every now and again, if you're lucky enough, one specific significant thing happens when everything else comes into perspective, and that was one of those out-of-body moments for me when I thought, my God, how did you get here? And what a beautiful piece of music, and time sort of froze for a moment, and I'm really grateful for that. And for John Williams for existing and for putting so much heart and soul into that character. And I really believe that if people enjoy Helena, it's because it was a collaboration between me and John Williams, because he brought colours to that character that I know I didn't. So I'm very grateful to him for that.
Thank you. More questions from the floor, right down here, the first row this time.
Hi, Susanne Gottlieb, the Standard Piano. I have a question for Harrison Ford. You just mentioned it. It's about aging. It's about confronting age and gracefully accepting it. Same time, Indiana Jones also has to confront his legacy, what he stays alive for, who he stays alive for, what he does with his final years, so to say, and what he has accomplished. So, given that Indiana Jones has basically its whole pop culture legacy already in place, what do you hope and wish for it to be the legacy down the road, not even now, but just in years to come, now that you put the final chapter behind you?
I think part of the luck of my career has always been that I've done these Star Wars films and the Indiana Jones films, which are family films. And they're passed on from one generation to another in the family. And that's helped introduce me to new generations of film goers as I grow older, and happily hopefully that will bring young people into the theater. There are other people to see in the movie. It's a great adventure, a great family experience. I hope people will go to the theaters to see it for the very first time, because there's something special about being in a theater to see this kind of movie. When the lights go out, when the music comes up on a spectacular sound system, and you sit in the dark with strangers and have the opportunity to feel your common humanity. There's a lot of energy in our lives, in our cultures right now, to push us apart, disaggregate our societies, turn us against each other. There's something about a movie where you get to suspend all that shit and just have a good time. In the dark, trusting strangers that are not going to come out of the dark and hurt you. I mean, this is a really brilliant way to pass on generational understanding. And to see it in a harmless context, as it were. So I hope people will see this in family, and then perhaps see it again sometime at home, closer to your own refrigerator. Anyway, thank you for the question.
Thomas and Mats, we've been talking about the heroine and the hero of Indiana Jones, but it's also important, I think, for every single Indiana Jones installment that the villains are being portrayed by people who you actually really hate once you leave the movie theater. What did you base your characters on? Was there anything that you drew from the other Indiana Jones movies regarding your character? And how did you approach your character being evil?
Well, I based mine solely on Thomas's real life. The Nazis don't belong anywhere these days, only in an Indiana Jones film, right? this is why we don't go diving deep into the heart of darkness of what these people did. But we use them in a different manner. So when I approach it, I try to find his passion. His passion is science, and he, in his own weird way, wants to make the world a better place. He doesn't wake up, thinks he's a villain. He's a hero of his own story. That's how most people see themselves. I was obviously building it a little. It's not a surprise to anyone that Werner von Braun did go to the States, and he did work on the NASA programs. So loosely based on him getting away with what he did and nobody questioning it, and wearing dandy clothes and having a smile on his face, which was a scary thing. It didn't only happen in the States, it also happened in the Soviet Union, etc. So loosely based on him. I thought there was a Nazi theme as well, but then I realized somebody told me that there's not a Nazi melody, but there is a special sound when you hit a Nazi. Is that correct? So the punch of a Nazi is different?
Let's find out.
No. Apparently there's a little more crunchy sound to it when he hits the Nazis. So I got my theme, I guess. So yeah, that was
as well.
Yeah, Thomas?
I don't know. I think the material was there. I thought I tried to pay attention to glorify it as much as possible, and to be also as serious and honest about it as possible. But I have a memory which was mind-blowing to me. We had the first shooting day, and with Harrison, and we met a couple of weeks before already, so we knew each other, and there's Harrison sitting in front of me with his arms tied behind his back. And I'm standing in front of him with my glorious Nazi uniform, and he looked so big. And I was standing there and I thought, like, I'm supposed to be superior. And the more I looked at him, the bigger he appeared, and I thought, this is a movie star, this is Harrison. And so I just tried, I kept myself busy with living up to the moments and trying to serve.
To tell the story. To tell the story.
Yeah.
That's what we all do. Any more questions?
Question. Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm a journalist and a radio host for Gem FM. My question is, did you all expected that Indiana Jones would come back after 15 years, or how was your reaction when you heard about it? I would love to hear an answer from all of you, but yeah, maybe Mr. Harrison Ford can start.
Yeah, I was anxious to do another. I always thought that would be nice to meet Indiana Jones when he wasn't as fit and as young as he was in the first 3 or 4 films. So there was a period of 15 years before we found a story that we're all happy with, and by all of us I mean George and Stephen and Jim Mangold and everybody else that was attracted to this script. And I was, and I'd always been anxious to meet him at this point in his life, just to kind of round out the story.
Phoebe, Mats?
I think we're all familiar with the idea of people trying to stretch something successful out to the absolute nth degree. But that was what was so wonderful about reading this script, is that it didn't seem to be doing that. It seemed to be evolving to where Indy would be in real life, in the Indiana Jones universe, and actually confronting his age and confronting time and all of those themes. It felt very poetic and profound that it was coming back in such an honest way. And yeah, so I was incredibly moved by that and excited to see a hero have another adventure, but under completely difficult and different circumstances.
I wasn't surprised because I never felt it left me. And maybe very particular for my generation, who was a teenager when the first film came out. A lot of my colleagues who are directors my age now are basically directors because of that first film. So for me, it never left me. As I grew up, indie grew up as well. So it wasn't surprised, not at all. It was just, of course, yeah, one more. It's here. It's always been with me.
Thomas?
I'm so fascinated listening, I forgot the question.
How was your reaction when you heard that Indiana Jones comes back after 15 years?
Beautiful.
Thank you for the answers.
Lady in the third row, and then over there in the second row.
Hello, my name is Julia Wisman from Radio 1 here in Berlin, in Brandenburg. My first question goes to Harrison Ford and a second to Phoebe. One question to Mr. Ford is, are you sure that you won't go on as Indiana Jones? Is it really the last?
I'm positive. Positive.
Okay, I just wanted to ask again.
I know, I'm glad you did. Thank you.
It was brilliant to see you on the horse.
No, I'm so grateful for this script, for this story, to help me, as I said before, to round this story out. I'm so thrilled that we've provided entertainment through the first 4 films, I'm very happy with this movie. I really love this movie. I loved working with these people, and it seems appropriate to go on to something else. And but I'm ever so grateful to the people that have been our patrons, our customers, our fans, if you will. Grateful for their affection for the stories we've told and the characters that these people have brought. I'm very grateful.
The second question is about your character. I really like